Hello, so you want to do ZineQuest, you've bought Affinity Publisher and you haven't really got a clue where to start. So I'm going to show you how to set up a pretty simple 8-page zine with a front cover, inside rear cover and a rear cover. And this would be suitable for printing via Mixam. DriveThruRPG is slightly different because they don't do a staple bound booklet. So with DriveThruRPG you'll have either a soft cover perfect bound glued book or a hardcover. Either way you need to create a separate cover file that includes the spine and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to just put that aside. Let's focus on Mixam, where everything can be in the same Affinity Publisher file. So you'll see there that I've opened up Affinity Publisher. This is version 2. The things that I'm going to use here are the same pretty much in version 1, so I don't think you're going to run into any problems if you follow this. So the key things that we're going to tackle are master pages and paragraph and text styles. So we'll get that set up, and then I'll probably do some more videos later that show how to insert a table of contents if you need one, and add in some images in using the text wrapping features. So let's make a start. What we'll do is we're going to have this as a 5x8 zine. So if I go to File New and then I see this lovely box pop up, let's just change this to inches and we'll go 5x8. We'll leave it at 300 dpi and that's fine for print, and we'll just image placement, we'll leave that as embedded at the moment. It basically means when you drop images in, which we'll do probably in another video, that you add them to the file size. They're part of the file. Whereas if you use linked, which is the other option, they stay removed. Your file size is much smaller, but if you move your Affinity Publisher file, it might not be able to find those images anymore. So pages, we want facing pages so that we can see that in layout and it helps us. Number of pages 8. Now if we're going for an 8-page interior zine, multiples of 4 for pages, we will also do the cover as well. So the cover consists of the front, the inside, the rear and the rear inside as well. So we're going to actually make this a 12-page zine. We're starting on the right hand side, which is good, and the colour, we'll switch this to CMYK, leave it as web coated, and we could leave it as transparent background. We can switch on transparent background if we want. We don't need to. Now margins, because we've set this as facing pages, these options here are different. So we've got the top and bottom, which we'd expect, but we've also got the inner and the outer edges of the facing pages. If we jump back to pages and we click so that it's just single pages, we don't get that on the margins, we get left and right. So this is good because in some print layouts, especially DriveThruRPG, they don't want any bleed on the inner edges of the book in the gutter. So switch our facing pages back on, and so this is margins that we're talking about here. Bleed is a different thing we'll get to in a second. So the margins, that's kind of just where I want my text boxes to be, so that they don't get too close to the edge. Normally on the inner you'll probably have a bit more than you will on the outer. So we'll set this, and the bottom will add it slightly larger as well. That just gives us some room to put page numbers on the bottom. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Bleed. So bleed, if you're just doing a white paged zine and you don't need artwork kind of going off the edge of the page, then you can just leave the bleed set to 0. What becomes important is if you've got artwork that goes off the page, you need to set a bleed. It's normally 0.125 inches or 3 mil. And what that does, it means that when if you just take artwork up to the trim edge of the book, and when they come to trim it, their trim is not quite right, you get slivers of white edges. So always move your artwork off the page edges, and we'll do that up to 0.125. Now what we'll do, we're just going to break this uniform bleed and set the inner to 0. I don't really want any bleed currently on the inside because they'll meet together, and we don't need that for the print files. So let's get that created. Okay, and you can see that we've got our facing pages all down here now. Page 1 basically is going to be our front cover, so we can kind of leave that as it is. And you'll just notice I've got that little preview mode button. So if I switch that off, it's pretty much as it will print. But if I toggle this off, it will show me my margins. It'll also show me my bleed as well. So it's useful to be able to switch that on and off as needed. Okay, so if we go down to these 2 pages here, pages 2 and 3, you can see that we don't have this bleed in the middle, obviously. But what we're going to do now is set up a master page. So this is really useful for if you don't want to kind of manually put page numbers in, maybe section titles and things like that. You've got a lot of control if you start to use master pages. So we just open up the master page, and we've got one set as master page A, and that's already applied to all of these pages. If we had more than one master, I could say, actually, I want to apply a different master to pages 10 and 11. Okay. What I'll do, I'll try and find some artwork on another screen over here. I double click. This is now my master page that I'm looking at. I'm going to drag this background on. And you can see I've got the toggles set up here, so when I can drag. Now, because this page background is coloured, I want it to bleed off the edge. I don't want to risk that trim problem that you sometimes see. So I'm going to drag it to make sure that it doesn't matter that it's proportionally scaled, it's just an example. So this is actually on the master page, but you can see it's applied to all of the other pages. So let's create another master page, and we've got some settings here. We can do a bit of custom stuff on it, but I'm not going to bother with any of that. But you'll see now that master B is totally blank, and I'm just going to drag that down onto page 1 and the inner cover. And then down here, we'll have that on the rear cover and the inner rear cover. So you can see now how this is starting to look. If we had some artwork for the front cover, we could just drag the artwork in, stick it on that front cover. There's no reason at all why we couldn't have the inner covers printed. Mixam would allow you to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back to the master again, and I'm going to add a text box. So it's a text frame tool, and we'll just add that down to there, and we could type anything in that, and you'll see that in the corner of every page now we have it. So that's the benefit of the master. Whatever you do on that master page, wherever it's applied in the document, you get that. So let's just jump back to here. I'm on the master page. I want to insert the page number. Now it's a master, so it doesn't technically have a page number, but what it will do is it will pick up the page number in the rest of the interior and put the right page number in. So you can see there it's on insert fields page number. Let's just align that in the center. Now what I could also do, I could copy that, paste it and drag it over there on that side. So you can see now I've got two page number fields. Let's just have those so they align on the bottom, and then I jump back to this page, switch off my margin, and you can see it's picking up all the correct page numbers, which is just what you want. Now one thing here is that it's counting page 1 as the cover and the inside page 2. We probably want this to start as page 1 on the first inner page of the book, and I'm going to try and remember how to do that. So I think what we do here, we right click on this, it's page 3 of the document, but it will be our page 1, and we start a new section. Just jumped over to here. So you can see section 1 is the original section. Actually, let me delete that, and you'll see that section 1 is basically the entire publication. We can create a new section that starts on page 3, and we restart the page numbering at page 1. So you'll see now that that has started on page 1. Now if we had the page numbers down on here, we'd also get page 1 and page 2. We could actually set up a master that's exact same background and doesn't have the page numbering on, so that way we can maintain that background texture, but make sure that we never get page numbers that aren't supposed to be there on it. So let's just clear those. So you can see we've got pages 1 to 8 now. Okay. Switch the preview off. Now we will create a text frame. Now we're actually on pages page number 1, proper page number 1 now. We're not on the masters. So I've added a text frame. Let's make it 2 column. The gutter's huge, so we'll just reduce that down to something realistic, maybe 0.125. Okay, there we go. Now it's remembered the setting of me having the text down at the bottom, so we're just going to top align that, and we'll make it left aligned. So you can see now I'm adding text in. If I just add some filler text, insert filler text, and what you can do rather cleverly is click this to link a new frame over onto this one. You can do the same again. And you can see it's showing you where the text threads to the next frame. So any changes that we make here in page 1, it doesn't do this on filler text, which is a little bit annoying. So if I copy that, delete, and paste that in, it's still not going to do that, is it? Right, let us do this a different way. Let's select all of that, copy it, open up a notepad file, copy it all in there, select it all, copy. You don't need to remember how to do this. This is just because the filler text isn't very compliant. Okay, so this is now like proper text I can actually edit as you would have in your own document. But you'll see if I'm starting to add lines here, it's updating the text in the other pages. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to work on paragraph styles and character styles. Understanding these is fundamental to making your life easier in layout. So if I just select all of this text and I go to my paragraph styles here, let's just drag this out. And we'll drag the character styles out as well. Okay. Now under text styles, you'll see that that little symbol there is the paragraph. That is set to no style. Now we could basically say, well, we want all of this text to be in a very specific style. So we're going to select body. So now all of this text is in the body style. If I want to change that text to a different font, so everything that was body now becomes a different font, I can right click and I can edit the body. I could even maybe call it something else. But if I switch font to let's go for Allah, and maybe we don't want it to be 12, we'll have it as 10 point. You'll see that it's amended all of that text. So we can do the same strategy with headings. So heading style 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And the key benefit to identifying your headings is that you can build tables of contents from them very easily. So making sure that you've got your headings done is great. The other benefit of doing that is you can export it so that the headings form PDF bookmarks. So if you've got a 100-page book and you've set up all your heading styles, it's very easy to build your table of contents. And when you export your document, all of your PDF bookmarks are already done for you. And that's why it's fundamental in layout to make sure you understand how the paragraph styles and the character styles work and what you can do with them. So let's just zoom in here a bit, and we're going to make this a heading 1 style. Okay, I don't really like that. Let's change it to something else. So rather than actually change it here on these, I want to make sure that every time that I use heading 1, it's always going to be the same. So I'm going to change it here. So let's change the font to Acme. We'll leave it as 20 point. I could even make it this color, that color, whatever. Let's have it that color. You could add highlights, you can unlight, you can do whatever you need to do. So you just familiarize yourself with what's in these menus. One thing that I tend to use a lot is the paragraph spacing. So you could have it so that this is always indented. You could have it so that there's always a space before or there's a space after. You can have it set as drop cut, but you can do this with the paragraphy styles. Okay. So now every time I decide that I want something as heading 1, I just click heading 1 and it's given me that. Let's say I don't want it centered. I just go right click here, go to edit the heading 1. There we go. It's under paragraph left. Click OK. And it's made those left. Okay. We can basically do the same thing with heading 2. So let's say we've got our heading 2 there, but we want it to be in the same font. You can base it on that heading, and then so if there's any changes to heading 1, they kind of cascade down to heading 2 as well. But we've got some overrides in here. We could that doesn't work for that, so let's say, yeah, so some features are not part of this particular font that I'm playing with. But let's say we want to add an underline under it. So I'd be looking decorations. So let's enable decorations. Decoration number 1 would be an underline which, I mean, if we'd have used a swatch, so I can pick the color out of this. There we go. And we could say actually that we want it to, ideally I want it to go all the way across the so it's relative to text cap height. So I want it relative, that's the left, top, bottom. There we go. If we had one to the top, that would also go across the column. And you could move the positions of these, I believe. Yeah, so this is moving where the lines start and end. So, and that's overhanging the column. But there you go. So we've just shown that we can very easily and quickly create a heading 2 as well. This one might also be heading 2. Okay. And like I say, that makes it very easy when we want to set up a table of contents, because we basically just say to the table of contents, make heading 1s level 1 and this new character style or paragraph style. So that's paragraphs. We can, let's set up another paragraph style for this, and we're going to have, we'll do 2 different paragraph styles. So in this paragraph style, it's still set to body at the moment. I want it to always bold that anything before this colon. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate the body, and I'm going to call it body bold before that, and then I'm going to select it and make it body bold before. So now I need to edit the body bold before, go to initial words and basically say change the style to strong, which is basically bold, up to whatever the end character is, which we're going to have as a colon. So now if I remove the colon I think it's just set to 3 words. So you can have it do a maximum amount of words. So you could say, well, actually, maximum of 12 words, but end on a colon. So wherever you put the colon, that's wherever it's going to stop. And it'll always be the first colon, unless you change that bit of code. So the other one we could do is a drop cap. We've already got one here, and you'll see that if we just edit that, it's picking up body as the basis of the style. So all it's adding is a drop cap into it. Okay, and we can play about that drop cap, so it doesn't do 3 lines, it just does 2. We can even make that a very specific font as well. So drop cap, we only want it 2. You could do multiple characters. For some reason that's not behaving as such. Distance to the text, so you can move it away if you need to. So some really good little features there. But you can see how once you've built your paragraph styles, it's very easy to just go in and assign text to things. You can set up bullets, you can set up numbered lists. One thing I'll do in another video is set up some tables. So now we're just going to touch on character styles. And character styles, very similar to paragraph styles, except paragraph styles work for the whole of the paragraph. Whereas character styles, you can just select a word and assign it the style of that character. So you could always say, you know, bold or italics or whatever. As long as the font that you're trying to bold or italic or whatever has those attributes in its, you know, in its installation, then you're fine. Otherwise, it might throw up a highlight around it to show you that it can't bold that particular font because it doesn't have the bold attributes. So if we just jump to you can see in here, so in this list, anything that's got this symbol is a paragraph style, and you can see that as we go down we start to get a change then. So we've got some little A's with an underline. Those are character styles. So you could, let's say this we want italic, so I'm going to make it italic. Now notice I'm using the normal menus for changing things, but what I decide to do is create a character style, and I'll just call it italics. It's probably exactly the same as emphasis that's already there. So you've got emphasis, which is basically italic, strong, which is bold, and strong emphasis, which is bold italic. Not every font has those 3, so you just need to be a little bit careful. So you'll see that if I just go to the character, the trait, it should pick the trait up from what I've selected. So now if I wanted to bold that, I could just go to italics. Let's say I wanted to bold this. Now you'll see that that has not bolded because it doesn't have italics as part of its font capacity. I was expecting it to highlight it, but it didn't. You'll find if you pre-flight this, it will go, there's a problem with the font here. But yeah, we can just jump through and start italicizing whatever we want. If the font has it, we could do the bold italics. That should give you the very basics of how to set up your zine. And we need to cover some other things just to kind of help you along. We'll do that in another video. So we'll take this document, we'll add some table styles in. We'll add some images in and do some wrapping of text around them. We'll set up some bullets and numbered lists and things, and then we'll export a file, and you'll be able to send that off to or upload it to somebody like Mixam and get a price for your printing. Okay. Thank you for watching the video. Please remember to like, subscribe and share the video, and also if you check down in the description for the video, you'll find links to our social media and also places where you can support us by buying our products. Thank you.